What if I told you the difference between struggling with money for the rest of your life and collecting $3,000 a month in passive income comes down to one single habit? Not a raise, not a side hustle, not some crypto moonshot, just $50 every week invested in the right place. Most people hear that and immediately think it's impossible. $50 a week is nothing, right? And yet, that tiny, almost invisible amount of money has the power to completely rewrite your financial future. Let's start with what $50 a week actually looks like. That's $200 a month, $2,600 a year. Over 25 years, you'd contribute $65,000 of your own money. Not life-changing on its own. But here's where the math gets wild. If you put that $50 every single week into a low-cost index fund that tracks the S&P 500, and the market returns its historical average of about 10% per year, after 25 years, your portfolio sits at roughly $290,000. You put in $65,000. The market handed you an extra $225,000 for doing nothing more than being consistent. But we're not stopping at $290,000. We're going to $3,000 a month, so stay with me. To collect $3,000 every single month in passive income, you need $36,000 a year. There are two main paths to get there. The first is the dividend path. You build a portfolio large enough that the dividends it throws off hit $36,000 a year. The second is the 4% rule, where you withdraw 4% of your portfolio annually. And at $36,000 a year, that means a portfolio of $900,000. Both paths start the exact same way. You invest $50 a week and you let time do the heavy lifting. Let's talk about the dividend route first. Right now, the Schwab U.S. Dividend Equity ETF, ticker SCHD, yields around 3.5%. To hit $36,000 a year in dividends at that yield, you'd need a portfolio of roughly $1,030,000. If you invest $50 a week at a 10% average annual return, here's what happens. After 10 years, you have about $47,000. After 20 years, around $163,000. After 30 years, roughly $495,000. And after 37 years, you cross $1 million. That's the milestone. That's where $50 a week starts generating over $3,000 a month. Now, I know what some of you are thinking. 37 years? That's a long time. And you're right, it is. But consider this. If you're 25 and you start today, you hit that number at 62. If you're 30, you get there at 67. You're going to be that age anyway. The only question is whether you arrive there with a portfolio paying you $3,000 a month or with nothing. And here's the part nobody talks about. You don't have to wait until the finish line to speed this up. There are 3 accelerators that can cut years off the timeline. The first one is increasing your weekly contribution. If you bump from $50 to $75 a week, which is just an extra $3.57 a day, you shave off nearly 5 years. Go to $100 a week, and the timeline drops even faster. Every extra dollar you invest early on has decades to compound. The second accelerator is dividend reinvestment. When you turn on DRIP, which stands for Dividend Reinvestment Plan, every dividend payment automatically buys more shares. Those shares pay more dividends. Those dividends buy more shares. It's a feedback loop that builds momentum year after year. This alone can add tens of thousands to your portfolio without you doing a single thing. The third accelerator is tax-advantaged accounts. If you invest through a Roth IRA, your money grows completely tax-free. When you withdraw it in retirement, you owe nothing. That means the full $3,000 a month is yours. Right now, the 2026 Roth IRA contribution limit is $7,000 a year if you're under 50. That's $134 a week, more than enough to house your $50 weekly investment with room to spare. Now let me show you something that makes this even more real. While your index fund portfolio is growing in the background, you should also be stacking cash in a high-yield savings account for your emergency fund. Right now, the best high-yield savings accounts are paying between 4% and 5% APY. This matters because when you have 3 to 6 months of expenses tucked away safely and earning interest, you never have to panic sell your investments during a downturn. Your emergency fund protects your investment fund. They work as a team, and together they make your entire financial system bulletproof. Let me also clear up a common fear. People hear stock market, and they picture crashes, losses, panic. And yes, the market drops. It dropped 34% during the 2020 crash. It dropped over 50% in 2008. But here's the part that matters. The S&P 500 has recovered from every single crash in its history. If you zoom out, the long-term trend is always up. The people who lose money in the market are the ones who panic, sell at the bottom, and never get back in. The people who win are the ones who keep investing. $50 a week, rain or shine, crash or rally. This is called dollar cost averaging, and it's one of the most powerful strategies in investing. When the market dips, your $50 buys more shares. When it rises, your existing shares are worth more. Over time, this smooths out the bumps and works heavily in your favor. So here's the real question. Where is your $50 going right now? A streaming service you barely watch? A subscription you forgot about? Snacks at the gas station? I'm not saying you can't enjoy your money. I'm saying redirect just $50 of it every week into your future self. Open a brokerage account or a Roth IRA if you don't have one already. Set up an automatic weekly transfer of $50 into a low-cost index fund or a dividend ETF. Turn on dividend reinvestment. And then do the hardest part. Leave it alone. Let it grow. Let time and compound interest do what they've always done. $3,000 a month is not a fantasy. It's math. It's $50 a week, a decent return, and the patience to let the snowball build. Most people will never do this, not because they can't afford $50 a week, but because they don't believe something so simple could actually work. Now you know better. If this breakdown made something click for you, subscribe to Frankie Finance. Hit the notification bell and share this with someone who needs to hear it today. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.